Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Africa on KAFTAN television from our studio here in Ondo City. My name is Miracle Odunayo.
And yes, good morning once again to Daybreak Africa from our studio in Ondo State, which happens to be the sunshine state of Nigeria in the actual sense. My name is Ikhonede.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. Why the long shouts? What's going on with you? Are you okay?
They showed me shaking yesterday.
What happened?
I actually went for something very important, I think around at Akure, in the actual sense. So I promised the person I wanted to do. You know, I'm used to this Odo life of the fact that I was born in Lagos. If I was to tell someone I will see you in 2 weeks or in 20 minutes or in 30 minutes, I don't do that in Lagos.
Definitely because of traffic.
I can't predict
Lagos and traffic.
I can predict traffic to an extent. For someone like me that already knows, okay, if it's morning, if you go this way, there will be a lot of, because everybody's going to their working place, but they are coming like this. It's going to be fast, you understand? But if you go like, I already understand the tactics, but then you can't still predict. Anything can happen. One tanker can just be somewhere, one conductor can be fighting someone. But then I told someone, I'll be with you in 30 minutes and all that, because it's just on the way to Akure now, just fast the bus, and I just boarded the bus, ran.
So what happened?
Because there I discovered that we underrate some time wasters in this country.
Okay, we underrate them.
We underrate them. And they call them bus drivers.
Oh.
Transport workers.
Time waster.
No. The guy was telling me because...
And they will be coming with that. It's just remain one person.
I'm like, if I had my way,
you will pay for the person.
I would have just told my friend, I'm here, please, just come pick me. No. But then I didn't want, it's supposed to be a secret visitation. I just told the person, I'm coming. You get? And let me just use... It was frustrating, extremely frustrating. And it got to a point I discovered that this doesn't happen to me, because there was a time they were like packing. This guy will collect money from people and say it's just 3 people that is going to sit on that chair. Start the journey first.
You will see 4.
Let that journey start. You see 4. Do you know there was one that did something very dangerous on the road? Beside the driver's seat. They do that often. Some people were already sitting with the driver. Beside the driver on the road. I don't know whether it is greed. I don't know.
It's greed. There is no better word for that. Greed.
This guy put someone on his head.
Some people do that, and I think we should try to be very, very careful.
I think you know the funny thing. This guy was passing through police checkpoints.
And did he do anything about it?
And nothing happened.
After giving them,
he was just greeting them. My God! I'm like, hey, this country we are.
You are putting all the people in the vehicle. You are putting their life at risk, even your own life. Come on.
No, it's got to a point. I was just okay. Now I've seen it all. now I understand what do understand. It's and when you ask them questions, you're telling them, why are you doing this? It's not supposed to be this way. They'll tell you. And they want money to be complete. Some will say they are paying back.
They will tell you that fuel is like more expensive, so they have to meet up with the target and all of that.
Check where they spend their money on immediately after their listing. Just tell us you want more money for booze. Majorly most of them in the actual sense, because I feel they earn more money than the actual bank worker, than many people out there. These guys are very financially, they are very underrated. But you can never know, because many of them they spend lavishly on things they shouldn't. But then that's on the side on Daybreak Africa. A lot is happening in Nigeria actually. The Alaafin And Ooni has been having a rift recently, and we will be looking at it from an historical perspective today on Daybreak Africa. But before we get to that discussion, which I'm very sure is going to be extremely educative, we first like to give you the reports of the day. After the reports, swap to the destruction and to the discussion in the actual sense, not destruction, please. So please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, it's still Daybreak Africa, and yes, it's time to go straight into our discussions for today. Yes, we know that Nigeria is blessed with multi-ethnic groups. When we talk about multi-ethnic groups, over 350 ethnic groups actually in Nigeria as we speak. But then there are some ethnic groups that are extremely very, very vibrant among all ethnic groups. Talking about the 3 major ethnic groups in Nigeria. And one of these 3 major ethnic groups happens to be the Yoruba land, which is an embodiment of the children of Odunayo, as claimed by historians. But then recently we discovered that 2 of the most prominent leaders in Yoruba land happens to be having a rift between each other, talking about the fact that the age-old supremacy battle between the Alaafin and the Ooni of Ife. When we talk about this age-old rift, it's been happening for years, talking about who is more superior between these 2 monarchs in Yoruba land, very important monarchs in Yoruba land. Many have talked about this over time. And most recently, looking at the rift that just happened recently, where a title was given to a personality by the Ooni, and the Alaafin said it wasn't the Ooni that was supposed to give such a title to that person, but the Alaafin, who happens to be the superior among all kings in Yoruba land. And then it's been a tete-a-tete, cross arguments, cross words between both parties and many who are observers and also stakeholders in Yoruba land. Today we'll be having a historical analysis into this particular issue to see, can this rift ever come to an end? What should we be looking forward to? Historically, who should be superior between the Alaafin and the Ooni in the actual sense? And to discuss with us today, we have an expert when it comes to history. He's a doctorate. Sometimes I call him a professor in the actual sense, because I affirmed he should be a professor by now. He's a friend of the house, also a political analyst in the person of Dr. Ajisola Omojeje. Welcome to the show, sir.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Good morning and welcome to the show.
And it's nice having you, Salva, after quite some time.
Yeah.
It's been a while we had this. So let's delve into the topic a bit. I remember that I was opportune to be at the inauguration of the Alaafin, the coronation actually of the Alaafin of Oyo. That was just mid this year, time this year, Alaafin of Wade. And one of the most beautiful things I myself witnessed at that particular event was that the Ooni of Ife was very present in that particular event, which many thought that this time around, unlike what we saw with Oba Ogunwusi and Alaafin Lamid, this time around it will be more of peace between these two bodies. But just a few months down the line, we are experiencing this current rift about who is more superior between the Alaafin and the Ooni of Ife. From your take, why do you think this age-old rift keeps happening time and time again?
Yeah, thank you. The fact is twofold. One, some sees the past with the eyes of the present. And when you view the past with the eyes of the present, your judgment will always be biased. Because the past is there. Nobody is there. We only rely on oral tradition, then rendition of the accounts, probably by griots, and written records. These are the things that we rely on. That is one. So that could make certain rift become like an egregious graft which festers with disinverosity. One. Then the second one is that when you see an insect dancing on the surface of the water, those that are drumming for that insect live beneath the water. So there are some people that may want to, feed fat, or probably profit, or probably gain recognition by rendering accounts that they feel is important to them. They know why they are rendering such accounts, and they know what they want to gain. It is not only in a particular place, it happens all over. You will remember that in Ondo, the Lobu and the Oshemawe don't see face to face in their lifetime. So some people, if they want to profit from the Lobu, they will go and tell nasty stories of the Oshemawe
to the Lobu.
And they will say, you have to quickly make this appeasement so that that thing will not happen. Then the Lobu will give, the Lobu will not go out to go and buy object of sacrifice or propitiation. You have to give money, and then they will say they have done it. If they buy dog, or they buy goat, or they buy meat, they will be the one to eat it. The Lobu will not know. They will go and relay the same thing to the Oshemawe. So they will be profiting. Although we say and so that is it. So you see, it happens all over. It's not here only. It's not only in Africa. It happens all over the world. There are some people like that. So those things can make ordinary rift to become a kind of big quarrel. It can become a war. So these are the people that are fanning the embers of conflagration.
So you feel it's not majorly the personalities now, but the people underneath. They are
Yes,
the people that are.
yes, they are the personalities, because you know the personalities are there, and the personalities relies on the people. You see, Modibo Keita said a leader should almost mold himself in the image of the people and not molding the people in his own image. So if the leader wants to enjoy the patronage and the support and the respect of his people, he has to dance to their tune. If he's not dancing to their tune, many things can happen.
Speaking about the people, don't you feel like this public conflict between the two kings can actually cause disunity among the people of Yoruba land?
Yes, if it is not properly managed, it could cause disunity. But I think the rift between them now will not cause disunity, because stories abound, history abound, and history is such a thing that doesn't die. You can't kill history, because the past is there, and then people will reenact history, and then they will tell history, and by the time it will continue, and they will see reason and such a thing. You see, we have come to an age of enlightenment. Everybody is enlightened. If it were to be in time that is not this time, this thing can lead to war. What brought about the internecine wars in Yoruba land is not up to this. So, but I think people knows, how to make ways and how to make people see reasons. Personalities are being called.
Yeah,
personalities are being called. That you are a king does not mean that you possess wisdom, the most potent wisdom. You rely on others, to gain wisdom. And I'm sure the two kings will be told some stories that will make them sheath their swords.
But then if we are talking about, you talked a bit about history, so let's go down into history. Because I think sometimes I feel, okay, let us just settle this thing once and for all. Historically, because I think I studied a bit of the story of Oromiyo leaving Ife onto, I don't know, say some books will say he wanted to go conquer across the river Niger, though he never envisaged that was going to find the river Niger there and the river Benue and all that. But then in his journey he founded Oyo and all that. But when he was leaving, he left the Oni over there. I don't know. So this is causing the disparity between the Alaafin should be bigger than the Oni or something. But historically, if you were to look at it from your own perspective and the facts prevalent to you, the facts available to you, who do you think really should be called the superior in Yoruba land? Because if we talk about the north, we all know is the Sultan. If we talk about maybe Benin, we know the Oba of Benin is bigger than anybody in Benin. If we look down to the east, or the south, we know of the Olu of Wari. If we look into the east, maybe the Eze of Onisha or something. But then in Yoruba land, we're having multiple kings, though we know that most prominently Alaafin and Onisha are at the height there. But if we want to even look at superiority, what do you think comes first between these two?
Each time that I'm given opportunity to talk on issue like this, I always talk on bastardization of our culture by the coming of the European, and that makes us to live in a bastardized, westernized world. You see, when you talk about the issue of superiority between the two, it will be very hard to say this is superior, because one controls the spiritual, the other controls the politics. Ordinarily, Odunayo came to Ife. He had 2 wives. He gave birth to 1 child, and then that child can be gave birth to 7 children, and then so with him there are many children, of which Oramiya happens to be one of them. At times he was sent, or at a time he was sent to Benin to quell the rebellion that was happening with the Ogiso dynasty, where they were called Ikhonede. And then he came back again. He went, some stories said things have been shared, but that they gave him the list and that he was angry. he went to Oyo, and then at a time, you know, he came back to reclaim the throne. That was during the reign of Obalufan Alayemore. So he drove Obalufan Alayemore, and then he became the king in Ife. And then he left the place again, and Alayemore came back to become the Oni again. And then he, you know that Oramaya has been an Oni of Ife before.
So he was Oni, he was Alaafin.
So
he
went there, he was Alaafin. Now, you see, the thing is, Ife is regarded, or Ile-Ife is regarded as the cradle of mankind, as the cradle of Yoruba, the source. And whoever controls the source is called Oni. And the Oni is being called Oni Risha. And who is the Orisha? Is the God that he's representing. So he's representing the spiritual in Ife. And in as much as all Yoruba towns and villages emanated from Ife, so Yoruba kings and Yoruba community regard Oni as the spiritual father. But at a time, Oyo became so prominent as a result of the northward bulge of the trade in slaves from the Sahara. Oyo benefited from that to such an extent that Oyo developed a strong political structure based on intricate network of chieftaincy title. Oyo became a strong community that has that base its politics on checks and balances. Oyo developed a very strong army to such an extent that no community dares Oyo, and it extended even to Jeba, even to Dahomey. Some part of the now Republic of Benin were controlled by Oyo. I hope you understand. So as a result of that, Oyo became very important, and the Alaafin that sit at the head of that political institution became the political head of the Yoruba. So even at the fall of Oyo, subsequently after the rift between Ibadan and Ijaye, you know, the Ibadan and Ijaye became warring communities between 1860 and 1865. And then even after Aole and the subsequent fall of Oyo, the vestiges of splendor, of royalty, of affluence, of wealth still reside in Oyo to such an extent that the Alaafin was heightened. It was as a result of this, or it was this scenario, that the European met and made the Alaafin to sign the treaty for Yoruba land.
Wow.
I hope you understand. So I am now explaining the fact that Oyo controls the politics, while Ife controls the spiritual. Ordinarily, it was from Ile-Ife that Oraminya emanated, and Oraminya founded Oyo. So if Oduduwa happens to be the father and Oni is sitting on the throne of Oduduwa, then Oraminya is his son, and is the Alaafin. Because at a point in time, Oraminya had to come to Ife to become the Oni. So all these things are replete in history. If you are looking at Samuel Johnson, yes, Samuel Johnson wrote the history of the Yorubas and he favored Oyo, but he's an Oyo man.
So definitely he wrote according to his bias.
He must have written the book according to his bias. We may not naturally said predominantly is according to his bias, but he must have at least
included
written.
The human factor.
The human factor is there. Samuel Ajayi Crowther wrote the Yoruba version of the Christian Bible, and then he used probably the dialect of Egba to write. If you read the original Yoruba Bible, you will see the intonation of Egba, calling camel Ibakasie, and then Yoruba call it Eshin, and he calls it Ibakasie, calling Okunrin, and then he will say Li Atete Koshi.
Yeah,
and so all those things.
So historically, do the Ooni of Ife actually overstep taking the Okanlomo title? Do you historically now, I just want to know, did he overstep by taking that title of Okanlomo?
Well, I don't think it is like that. Because the old Ooni did not say Okanloma of Yoruba land. He said Okanloma Odua.
Okay.
So which
Okanlomo Odua and Okanlomo
that is
Yoruba land.
spiritual aspect.
Yes, it is subject to various interpretations. It depends on the way you interpret it. It is the way the Alaafin has interpreted it, and probably the way the Alaafin had been breathed on the Okanloma title. So I don't think the Ooni has done something that is so sinful by he can give title to any sons and daughters of Yoruba land in the name of Oduduwa, because he is sitting on the throne of Oduduwa, who happens to be who the Yoruba regard as their own eponymous father. So, but you know, they said the Alaafin interpreted this as he giving it at the Okanloma of Yoruba land, but he said he gave the title of Okanloma Odua.
So there is a difference.
But then over time, we've seen words fly across. I think this one is even more the issue between the two of them. That is the current Alaafin Owade and the current Ooni. It's not even as loud as how it used to be during the time of the Alaafin, the late Alaafin Lamidi, and the late Ooni. It was always a tug of war, talking about they even traded words and insults and all that. Now, how do you think rifts like this impacts the Yoruba community generally, even in the world face? Looking at the fact that Yoruba culture currently, if we look at it among cultures in Nigeria, is having a big kind of recognition worldwide. Talking about some of the practices like marriages, spirituality, and all those kind of things. So rifts like this, don't you think it can affect negatively to the repute and to the sanity of the community at this time?
Yes, it can, but it shouldn't be seen as such, because when we see two elders fighting, what is being said in the open might not necessarily be. There might be personality clash. You may not know. You see, it is you give your own verdict according to how it pleases you. That is why the court is always the consolation of the common man. So they read beyond what is being, and that's why they peruse. That's why history is very important. You see, at times you may not, an elder may not necessarily just say because of this thing that he's saying it. It may be more than what we are thinking. So that might not necessarily, although people hearing it from the way they are saying it, it might impact negatively. They might be saying, how can Yoruba kings, that there is no unity in there? But despite that, Ooni, the late Ooni Adeyemi Alaafin and the late Ooni Shijuade, despite their near war experience, did Yoruba refuse to unite? All those things are brought out, to push away the wretched of Yoruba community. So, you see, the beauty of history will not be brought to the open if such a thing is not being said by the elders that are custodian of tradition. So it is as a result of it that the beauty of history will be brought. For instance, now, if Alaafin had remained silent and Ooni also remained silent, will there be a cause for what we are discussing now?
No way.
So what we are discussing will be lessened, and then they are saying will generate a kind of heated historical controversy, and the controversy will bring about the beauty of the community. Yoruba this time around. So when you are hiding something, it also brings about the wretched of such community. But when you throw it to the open, it will be washed. For instance, if you hide a cloth that is dirty, it will always be dirty forever.
Definitely.
But when you bring it to the open and people say, this your cloth is dirty, why are you wearing this cloth? You will take it to the dry cleaner and it will be done. By the time you are wearing it again, people will say, I like this your cloth. So that is it. And so you see, the things like that, history is or will be beautiful if hidden facts of history, are brought out. Remember that fact in history is sacred, but opinion differs. Definitely. But this fact must be capable of satisfying three things. One, it must be true. Two, it must be reliable. And three, it must have supportive evidences. So that truth, reliability, and evidence will be brought out through this issue, and then everybody will know. Those that have not known the difference between politics and spirituality, with recourse to Oyo and Ife, they are now knowing through this discourse.
Very true.
Some people doesn't know. Some people will say Alaafin is the superior. Some people will say, Ooni is this. Why are you saying that? But one controls the spiritual aspect, and the religion, the other controls politics. And that is exactly what is it. You remember that in 1914, the Northern and Southern Protectorate were amalgamated, and then there was the Nigerian Council in 1915. In the Nigerian Council, do you know that Alaafin represented Yoruba land? Ooni was not called. But when the Europeans were coming to find explanation to some knotty issues in Yoruba, they will always consult the Ooni.
Whereas they were so. We'll get to this. Let's take Go Start first. After Go Start, we'll come back to those discussions because it's getting really interesting to a very large extent. So please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Daybreak Africa. If you just joined us, this is still Daybreak Africa in the actual sense. And yes, that was Go Start we just showed to you. And like I do say, it's very important you make do with whatever we teach you on Go Start, because Go Start is very important to inspire you to do something with business. Inspire you to not just stay redundant at this particular time. In Nigeria, we all see the economy, and we know how the economy is eating deep on everybody's funds, mental health, and a whole lot of things. But then we Go Start to teach you how to, do something from where you have with the very little you have. So please ensure that you do exactly something with what you've learned from Go Start. But then we've been discussing on the rift between the Alaafin and the Ooni in the actual sense, giving some historical analysis to this particular age-old difference. And we've been discussing with an historian in the house and the person of Dr. Ajisola Omojeje. And before we went on the short break, sir, you were hinting us on something about the fact that the Nigerian Council of 1915, where the Alaafin was present in the council representing the Yoruba land. But then the Europeans that made the Alaafin sign and made the Alaafin look more like the political head of Yoruba land, they were still having interference with the Ooni. So from your own perspective, are you saying the Europeans were as their own contributions to the current rift that has been happening between the monarchs, especially in Nigeria, for their own gains?
Yes, they came. It is not totally that they contributed to it, but they added to it. If you believe that they are coming to Africa, set things against each other. They created artificial boundaries. They set brothers against each other, and then they name communities according to their, so things like that. The same thing, they refuse to acknowledge the fact, although it is what they met on ground that they acted upon. But what I'm saying generally is that while they are winning the head, they are not also losing the tail. So the thing is that they were having it good politically with Alaafin, and they were also having it good religiously with the Ooni. So where the issue of religion is, they acknowledge the fact that the Ooni controls the religion, and then Yoruba emanated from Oduduwa. Ooni is sitting on the Oduduwa throne, and they also acknowledge the fact that politics is important, that those that are controlling the politics of Yoruba land, as at the time of their coming, is the Oyo, and Oyo is dominated by Alaafin. So they have to make do with the two. Why they are romancing with Alaafin, they are not also living Ooni. So that's it. So you cannot run away from that fact that the politics and the spiritual or religious aspect of Yoruba land is paramount, and the two kings are controlling. So that's it.
So let's take a look at the 48 hours ultimatum, the one that
ultimatum, yeah.
Yes, gave. Do you think that should be the normal way should have reacted, or was too excess? Like, shouldn't have reacted
to the extreme, yeah.
To the extreme. Giving him 48 hours. They are both kings, actually. They govern over people. So you giving that kind of instruction, like I'm giving 48 hours. Do you think it's too extreme?
Yes, whatever a king says, you don't say a king has done something to the extreme. I am not in the position to say that what the Alaafin has done is to the extreme. He is my father, and I shouldn't say that on him. He is a king, and he's a first-class king. So whatever he says is final. That's why we call them kabiosi. Nobody dare says what he does is not good. But the only thing is that he said his own, and then the Ooni also took his own decision by not adhering to the 48 hours ultimatum, and up till now, no war in Yoruba land. Abi?
Yeah, true.
The Alaafin did not come to Ife to slap Ooni. The Ooni did not go to Oyo to make his everything. And the Alaafin says in the paper, and even said, why didn't you take another? So kings knows how to talk with them. So it is king that give order, and it is also king that flouts that order. So it is king against king. So they know. You see, we must be very careful. Those of us here, when two kings are talking like that, one should be very careful, because they will eventually settle. The other Alaafin is doing that to protect Yoruba land. The Ooni is also doing it to protect Yoruba land. So they are our fathers. They know how best, and I am sure many other leaders of Yoruba are appealing to them so that there will not be war, there will not be disunity in Yoruba land. So the Alaafin has not done anything to the extreme, neither the Ooni has done anything to the extreme.
But then do you feel that maybe the government can also involve themselves in things like this? Because like you said, maybe because of the fact that we are more exposed in this era to a point that things like that don't really get to people like it used to get to people. Let's say back in the 60s, back in the 1800s and all that. Don't you think that things like this though, because as the way I'm looking at things, as much as people are not really concerned at this particular time, a time would come, because gradually I'm seeing people loving their culture more than they were before in yesteryears, loving their identity more than they were before in yesteryears. Don't you think things like this gradually can also escalate into something that, so do you think government should sometimes involve themselves in things like this to just, appeal to both sides at this particular period?
I said it the other time that leaders in Yoruba land, they are appealing to the two of them to remain calm. Leaders may not necessarily be those that are older. They may be government operatives. They may be, look at the governor in Oyo and then the governor in Osun. If they intervene, they are also Yoruba people. They are also leaders in their own right. So they can intervene, and many leaders have been, doing that. But what I know is that, you see, it's like we have come to the realization that things like that shouldn't be dragged to such an extent that it will generate a kind of it's not boundary issue. It's only that one is giving. And then the Ooni said he didn't say Okanloma of Yoruba land. He said Okanloma Oodua. And so the areas of frictions will be, you know, put off. And look at the way it was resolved at that time when Osun State was still part of Oyo State. The rift was much then between the Ooni of Ife and then the Alaafin of Oyo. But when Osun State was created, the Ooni became a permanent chairman of Osun State Council of Obas, and then the Alaafin became permanent. So these are ways of curtailing things that could, you know, become a kind of war or conflagration.
What about our Yoruba leaders?
Yeah.
Well, because we've talked about the political parts now. What about Yoruba leaders? I know we have councils of elders. What are they doing about it?
No, I said leaders generally. Leaders generally. They might be political leaders. They might be religious leaders. They might even be leaders in their own right. Many of us are intervening. Then who is a leader? Even what we are saying now, we are taking leading roles in intervening. You see, opinion differs. An opinion and words of advice can come from even the smallest child. And so that we are talking now, they are hearing all these things we are saying and they are learning from it. And you see, do you know that for them to know more about the history of their community, things like this can come up? Yes, there may not even be fights. Things like this can come up. See, there was a time these musicians, Kollington Ayinla and Barrister
Ayinde.
If you hear Barrister Ayinde, you know, this music, you will say he's directly attacking Kollington Ayinla. And then Kollington Ayinla, Barrister went to the US. He said some of his members got lost, and it was because of the identity card that they saw that they used it to recognize him. Tajudeen pele ní Chicago aori ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ ID card tó mú dání ló jẹ́ ká fojú kan Tajudeen. But when Kollington Ayinla came, Kollington Ayinla said kò sẹ́ni tó sọnù nínú wa ò káwòrán ni wọ́n torí bí àbáràjò. So people will be thinking, but what you will not understand is that Barrister and Kollington will sit in the same thing, be eating and be playing. They will say, don't mind them. You want to sell them, I want to sell my.
So they feed off the controversies in the arguments.
You see, at times they may whip up such sentiments so that you could imagine the kind of historical sequence that people have been brought up. Many things that even those that are historians don't know about the history of Yoruba, they are knowing it now. So they also are learning. It is true they are kings, but they are also learning, because we learn from each other, and learning, and you know, education can come from anywhere. So that's it. That's why I'm telling you that it will not become a thing that could not be settled.
But then I want to ask a question, because I think this question, I remember studying history back in secondary school, and I did a bit of history in university, and there was this disparity on many African history. So you pointed, like you said, that even the kings are learning a bit of their history. And I used to feel that kings should even be the custodians themselves of history. Though, truthfully, they say African history does not really have one particular documentation of it. There are multiple documentations of African history and all those kind of things, which sometimes causes disparity in a whole lot of things. Talking about the fact that even the European influence in some of their writings.
That is what the Europeans will say. Histories generally are taken from many sources.
Many sources, but in multiple sources. Isn't it yet? Aren't we supposed to have gotten to a time where at least we can say, okay, this is the most reliable source we have right now, and then a proper synergy, we know that. Because if you study some historical facts about some lands across the world, at least you don't see multiple contexts. I know a particular tribe in Nigeria that you can't even know which one is their particular history, because this one says this, that one says that, this one says this one.
That is peculiar to all communities in the world.
Really?
You see, history, that's why I said the eyes of the present and the eyes of the past, they are different things. You see, identity changes. Identity changes. So you see, when new system, when new system replaces the old, especially when power changes and new system replaces the old, it changes the status of the leader. After then, during the period of migration pattern can change the course of history of such community. I hope you understand.
Yeah, very
for instance, now they are saying Ile-Ife is the source of Yoruba land, and look at where Ife is. There is a small community here that is called Isharun. Isharun, near Igbaraoke.
Very close to Igbaraoke.
Very close to Igbaraoke.
Yeah,
that's Isharun. Very close to Ilaramokin. Now, do you know that Professor Tostan Shaw made an archaeological excavation there and discovered that the oldest form of Homo sapien was discovered at Isharun?
Wow.
At Iwo-Ileru. On 19th and 28th, now 20th and 21st, I was there at Isharun. I took the students on excursion there, and we actually we saw those things there, documented in his book. We went to the place. I hope you understand.
Yeah.
The oldest form of human being on earth was found there, and Ife is where Yoruba took its source. Look at it.
So definitely by,
just look at it.
By geography.
What they are saying is that Isharu is older than Ife. But what you may not understand is that the Ife that is now there might
have started from Isharu.
And it might be politics that made Isharu to be part of Ife at that time. I hope you understand.
True.
So they might be calling the whole place Ife, and the Ife might be here. So if you look at Ondo now, you know that it is about 5 communities that make up Ondo. Will you know? You won't know, because we call all of them Ondo. But there is Ifore, there is Idoko, there is Oka, there is Ekpe before Ondo. And those communities have been here
for quite some time.
For quite some time.
I know that of Idoko very well.
Before Ondo. So history changes. You may not necessarily say this is how it is. That's it.
So definitely the changes will always affect as time goes by. I think it's high time they bring history back to schools in the actual sense, because we are missing a lot of.
No, it has been brought back, and you see, it has been brought back, and every school, every nation is having it. The only thing that is remaining is that at every organization there should be historian. In the hospital, in the government, in fact, there should be office of the historian in every local government. Then there should be office of the historian even in the governor's office and at the presidency. America don't joke with their history.
Very true.
History is very important. As they have guidance counselor in every school, there must be a historian in every school. Ordinarily. Because not to know what happened before one is born is to forever remain a child.
Definitely, you might not be able to access
exactly
the wisdom that
so
will transform that
history
community.
is very important. It's very important, and the idea of historiography must be brought back. That is an explanation of history on the basis of imperfect and fragmentary evidences. Those imperfect and fragmentary evidences could need to become fact of history and historical facts. I hope you understand.
I understand.
So fact of history is history that happened originally and that is capable of generating historical facts are facts that happened originally, but they are capable of generating other facts of history. Whereas fact of history are the fact that emanated from historical fact, but they themselves can also become historical fact and generated other fact of history. So it's ad infinitum. From a little thing like this, you can write volumes
of things.
So historians, they are very important in the at the palace of every king, at the local government system, at the state house of assembly. There should be a historian. Wole Olanipekun, that juggernaut lawyer, said that what makes him to triumph more, to win cases, is his knowledge of history. No lawyer can joke with history, because law itself is a product of three things: law, philosophy, and jurisprudence.
And sometimes they need to refer to cases of the past.
Law is a product of history, philosophy, and jurisprudence. So before it could be called law, you must be historically equipped, and your knowledge of philosophy must also be there. So the jurisprudence is part of it. That's why. So it is very important, my brother.
Thankfully, we're having something like an historical perspective to this whole issue. At least on Daybreak Africa today, you've learned something.
Thank you. That the government has even brought back history. It is now left for us to herald it and to make it prominent in our universities, so that whatever course you are studying in the university, you must pass through the history of Nigeria.
But then I want to ask a question, even as we crescendo on this particular discussion, because I remember when we started, you said something about the hand that dances upon water, that those that are beating the drums for him to dance are definitely under the water in the actual sense. And this brings me to the issue of those who sometimes surrounds the king, the people, and all that, who sometimes carry their bias, their perspectives, and all that. And like you said, sometimes the king needs to, or a leader must actually, you used the words of a great philosopher.
The first president of Mali, Modibo Keita, he said a leader should mold himself in the image of the people, and not molding the people in his own image, because he will have to cater for them, listen to them, satisfying their yearnings and aspirations.
So he has to come down to their level.
He has to come down to their level and listen to them.
But then sometimes some people within can be playing tantrums, even with things like historical facts and all those kind of things. How do you think a leader who sits on thrones, political offices, can address such kind of people which are amongst them? Because things like this sometimes, because of the greed of one or two people, can actually cause ruckus. Because I remember when Babangida wrote his book recently, and he was having his book launch and all those kind of things. And one of the things he said was many of the issues that was happening within the country that really shaped the history of Nigeria, especially during his tenure as head of state, he was not aware of many of them. We used to think Buhari was lying when he will come out all the time to say, I'm not aware. So sometimes people within even give narratives that were not supposed to be given about certain events to the president, which caused some kind of actions which people never expected. So how do we address people like this within offices that sometimes play tantrums with a bit of knowledge they have in historical fact? Because sometimes they could be the ones educating a bulk of these monarchs to also causing some of this ruckus.
Yeah, that's why you see, before Zimbabwe got independence, there were 3 leaders there: Robert Mugabe, Joshua Nkomo, and then this man, Bishop Abel Musorewa. He wrote a book, he called it Rise Up and Walk. That's the title of his book. A leader, a king in this sense, must rise up and walk to the challenges which you have said. He must make himself like this trainer. The Yoruba will say, Abeti Lukarabi Ajiri. So he will have his ear all to, you see, leaders can tell lies that are not aware of this thing. Well, he may not be aware, but you see, the fact is that what is the essence of having PAs? What is the essence of having this and that?
AIDS and all.
There are people. Do you know that leader can send secret people to go and find
out something?
So we send espionage system. You can find out some things about people, spies everywhere that fish out information. So it is what you want to. But at times, if opinion comes from your trusted persons that you think cannot push you. So you can fall in. Then to defend your kingdom, because every king strive to defend his own kingdom. And that is what Ibe Musorewa said, rise up and walk. You must walk to the challenges of the people. So that's it. They listen to their people and they react. But I said it the other time that at times this thing might be in this form to know more about the history of our community. That's it.
So definitely, sometimes things like this needs to happen so that more history can be revealed onto us. And I've learned a lot today in the actual sense. It's been a while. I really, so since I was back in class again to learn one or two things again about it. So I have something to hold on to at this particular. Thanks so much again, Dr. Ajisola Omojeje, for being a part of this discussion. Thanks for bringing it to light, to perspective and all that. And I hope our viewers out there has learned a lot from all this. Wow. Wonderful edition on Daybreak Africa, but then it's time to take sports. After sports, we come back on Daybreak Africa and we say our goodbyes finally on the show for today. So please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back from sports. I hope you enjoyed the discussion we had earlier with Dr. Omojeje. That was a very, very educative one.
Extremely educative. The last time I had such lecture on history,
it's been a while.
Very long in the actual sense. That was back in school. Yeah, I'm already forgetting something silent. Imagine me saying something like, Romeo, I'm like, hey,
these are
like that before I will quote even the year, the AD, the BC. Hey,
the fatherly duty.
It's not supposed to be
taking it away.
Katu is a father. But still, it's still. Joshua, what are you doing with your life?
What are you doing with your life?
I didn't actually criticize you. I'm criticizing myself. Leave my criticism.
I'm not criticizing you, actually. I'm just trying to remind you. What are you doing?
I'm doing something.
What are you doing?
I'm doing something.
Forgetting the origin of your culture.
I have multiple cultures in the actual.
I get it. I get that part.
Many of us have grown in Nigeria to a point that's why I say Nigeria we can't separate again. Our fathers and mothers have intermarried. We can't even know where many of us are from. My family,
do you know how many tribes?
You know the annoying thing? In my family, I have Oyo, I have Ijebu, I have Delta, I have Edo. The only thing I can't find in my family right now is
Hausa.
Maybe Hausa. And I'm not sure because I have some cousins right now. That
you are exactly that you might not even know.
I'm very sure
they could have gotten married
because of the promiscuity. So, that comes with many of them. I have an uncle that actually married a Northerner. So at least by distance, I'm related to a Northerner too, and all that. But then it's funny. The day I told someone that I am from Edo State,
and he was like,
shocked. Like,
do you know that I've actually been with an Igbo guy? I didn't know he was my cousin. God saved us.
I've been in Sabo here in Ondo, and the guy was singing Fuji.
Oh my God.
Pure Fuji. Like Fuji that was so sweet to the ears. I was like, this guy, you don't know Shukwa should be doing collab. Guess what?
Which tribe?
The guy is from Taraba.
How? Like how? Taraba State.
Taraba State.
How?
Now, tell me, if they divide us right now in this country,
where is it? Where's the stand?
Most of us don't have any stands anymore because we've been married and the marriage is looking successful on another generation, but still, there are still a lot of issues here and there. And like Dr. Omojeje said, because of migration and a lot of factors, history actually changes. But then, we should just see things from our current perspectives because we are using the present eyes to see things of the past, which sometimes the context and everything at that time is totally different. But then I feel the two of us can actually coexist, the Ooni and the Alaafin. Let's one just undo the spiritual. The other one the politics. The politics, which is also very good. Imagine having a spiritual head and a political head. Perfect.
The collaboration.
System. The collab is great, something beautiful, which I was opportunity to witness at the coronation of the Alaafin this year, and I'm proud I attended that particular coronation, once in a lifetime event in the actual sense. But then, till me tomorrow on Daybreak Africa, which happens to be the entertainment day.
Friday.
My name still remains Ikhonede Joshua Deji.
And my name is Miracle Odunayo.
Bye guys.